Hello. So in this video, we're continuing to work on the Pong tutorial. We have the ball showing up and the paddle, so we're going to start to get these things to move around. So up until this point, as extra functions, I've only defined the function draw ball and draw paddle. So I'm going to make some more functions to get these things to move. So after the function draw ball, notice how it's after the closing curly brace here. I'm going to say function, because I'm defining a new function, move ball, parentheses, curly braces. And then the way that's going to work, how I get the ball to move, is I'm going to update its position values. So ball dot position dot x plus equals ball dot velocity x. And then a similar thing with y, ball dot position dot y plus equals ball dot velocity dot y. I've only defined the function, so if I press plus, the ball isn't moving yet, even though these are non-zero values. Our velocity is 1 and 1, so it should be moving in a 45-degree angle. But that's because I've only defined the function move ball. I didn't say when it should happen, how many times it should happen, under what conditions. I need to call the function as well. So just like I called draw ball, then I'm going to call move ball parentheses, right, to say that it needs to happen. All right, so got the ball to move. Now the reason why it's happening over and over again is because the draw function behind the scenes is being called 60 times per second. Right, so you might think, well, we have to define and call a function for it to happen. So we're defining it, something behind the scenes is calling it. But for the things that we come up with ourselves, we have to both define and call it in order for it to work. All right, so let's do a similar thing for paddle. It's going to work differently, but from a bird's eye view, the idea is the same. I'm going to make a new function called move paddle. And which paddle? Right now, the paddle isn't really going to have a velocity or anything like that. It's going to be based on the mouse. So there's a few different ways that this could happen. We could have used the function mouse move, but actually we can just go ahead and constantly pull the variable mouse x and mouse y. And so it's actually, as far as the setup goes, looking like moveBall. So I would just say that this paddle, whichever one it happens to be, dot x. Yeah, and I didn't specify, I didn't break it up into position and all that kind of stuff. So just the paddle as a generic name, dot x should be equal to. Well, that would be if I wanted it to change based on the mouse x. Actually, I don't want that to happen. So I'm just going to say paddle dot y is equal to mouse y. In P5, you can see how it highlighted kind of a different color, right? So that tells me that I actually am using a variable that's special in P5. I've only defined the function. I didn't call it, so I need to call move paddle on the right paddle because my function here takes in which paddle as a parameter. And then temporarily renames it, so I have to tell it which paddle I'm talking about. I only have one at this point, but that's kind of thinking ahead how to set it up. All right, so now I can get my paddle to move based on the mouse. And so with that motion then, we'd probably want it to be able to bounce off of the paddle as it's moving around. So let's define a way for that to happen. And actually, we'll just do that in the next video then to keep these into segments.